Overthinking, the misconception about the eternal voice that keeps you trapped in the mind. What if overthinking is the normal process of life? What if everything you believe about overthinking is wrong? You can stop the voice in your head only when you know what it is. And the truth is that there is no voice in your head or in your brain. Most people believe their suffering comes from thinking too much. They try to silence the mind, distract themselves, or meditate the noise away. Yet, no matter what they do, the mind keeps running, analyzing, replaying, and doubting. But what if the problem isn't thinking at all? What if what you call overthinking is simply the voice of the ego, the part of you that's trying to prove, protect, perfect, and predict? This is not another video about how to stop overthinking. It's an invitation to understand it, to see what lies beneath the noise, and discover the peace that was never gone. We typically define thinking as the content of cognition or as using your mind to consider something carefully. That's fine on the surface, but beneath that, your mind is constantly sending signals, forming impulses, creating layers of intention, belief, and emotion, the whole mental machinery. So, overthinking is not just a mental activity, but an abnormal pathological glitch. We are wired to think. It's the movement of consciousness, the essence of being a human. Each thought is like a ray of light, an electrical signal firing in the brain and passing through your awareness, shaping feelings, reactions, and habits. Overthinking, as we know, however, is not true thinking or too much thinking. It is ego voicing, the endless commentary of the false self trying to maintain control. Ego thought is mechanical and repetitive. This is why so many people feel trapped inside their heads. They confuse the voice of the ego with the intelligence of consciousness, the four faces of the ego. Beneath every anxious thought or restless night lies one of four subtle ego drives. These are the hidden forces that keep the mind in motion. 1. The ego that wants to prove. This is the part that constantly seeks validation. It replays old conversations and imagines perfect comebacks, trying to prove worth, strength, or intelligence. It was born in childhood moments when approval equaled love. The more it strives to be right, the further it drifts from peace. Now your mind is always analyzing. Do they like me? Did I do enough? Am I as enough? That internal judgment voice roars and becomes unbearable, but it has become normal now. 2. The ego that wants to protect. This voice fears pain and disappointment. You feel isolated in your own mind, cut off. It plans, predicts, and prepares, believing that mental control equals safety. It says, if I think enough, I can prevent hurt. But this kind of protection is an illusion. It shields you from growth as much as from risk. 3. The ego that wants to perfect. Perfectionism is the mind's attempt to earn love through flawlessness. It whispers, you should know better. You berate yourself for not being enlightened, for making mistakes, or for slipping back into negative patterns. Overthinking becomes a punishment to yourself. But perfection is a moving target, the ego's way of postponing peace. 4. The ego that wants to predict. This is the fortune teller of fear. It obsesses over what might happen, creating imaginary futures that drain the present. It says, if I can see the future, I can control it. But the more you try to predict life, the more disconnected you become from living it. You have probably heard this conventional advice. Get out of your head. Don't listen to the voice in your head. Just meditate or empty your mind. These phrases sound spiritual and sincere, but they fail for one key reason. They treat the symptom as though it's the root. Here's a revelation. There is no actual voice inside your head. Your brain can't produce sound, only electrical signals. The vibration that feels like a voice is created around the throat area, near the thyroid gland. It is the same voice you hear while reading, which is known as subvocalization. Therefore, when you stop the voice, and I will show you how to do that next to this, you don't stop thinking. Rather, you switch off the voice that gives meaning to your circumstances, the reactive voice to the external world, the ego self. That's when silence emerges, not as absence, but as awareness. You step out of over-analysis into deeper awareness because it's that ego voice that has been imprisoning you in the realm of fear and limitation. And if you feel called to explore how these hidden ego patterns also block your success and make you to resist wealth on autopilot, read my ebook, The Unseen Resistance to Wealth. You will be amazed by what you will discover. For only $8, learn about the hidden blockages you impose on yourself unconsciously to your wealth. Try it and be convinced. Link in bio. 3 practices to free yourself from ego voicing. 1. Awareness through the body. Bring attention to your body. The most efficient way to reach your mind is to obtain perfect control over your body. Speak gently to your body by saying, "My body, go to a strict minimal activity." Ask yourself, what is happening under my skin right now? I mean spiritually. Notice your heartbeat racing. Calm it down. This grounds awareness and dissolves mental energy instantly. When this is done properly, you start feeling your breath and a flow of energy through your legs because you have more nerves in your legs. 2. Throat breathing. Slowly inhale through the nose, letting the breath pass consciously through the throat, and exhale the same way. This simple act calms the gland that sustains the ego voice. Within seconds, you may notice a gap, a brief stillness untouched by thought. That stillness is your true self. Try and be convinced. It works. 3. Mental alignment through feeling. Once stillness grows, use your mind deliberately. Choose a single word or image that represents your desired state, peace, abundance, gratitude. Hold that word with emotion, not effort. Feel it radiate through your body. Let the emotion replace the noise. Over time, this becomes your new frequency, one that attracts harmony instead of chaos. When the ego's voice quiets, something extraordinary happens. You begin to sense life rather than analyze it. Intuition sharpens. Creativity flows. The mind becomes a clear sky instead of a storm. This is the state of higher consciousness where thought and silence coexist in perfect rhythm. As James Freeman Clarke once wrote, "Nature writes upon all her works, service to man." When thought returns to service rather than survival, you start living as your true self. Today's world feeds the ego constantly through notifications, comparison, and noise. We scroll through other people's lives, then wonder why ours feels so restless. But the battle is not with technology or society. It's with identification, the belief that the voice in your head defines who you are. Once you see the ego for what it is, a survival mechanism, not a self, you awaken from the trance. You stop trying to fix yourself and start remembering your wholeness. You are not your mind. You are the stillness hearing it. Overthinking is only the echo of the ego trying to survive in a world it can't control. Awareness is the cure, not as resistance, but as recognition. Let this truth sink in. You were never meant to silence your mind. You were meant to listen so deeply that silence becomes who you are.